So today we're going to be taking a look at another comic pack, and in this case it's Lumiya and Luke Skywalker, based upon their appearances from the expanding universe. I really like this comic pack. Lumiya is one of the most interesting characters, I think, from the expanding universe, and she has been around for a long time. I think she's been around since the early 80s, actually, during in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So a little backstory between the two. Lumiya was actually Luke's love interest for a time. She was spying for the rebellion, or spying in the rebellion for the Empire, I should say. And at the time, before she became Lumiya, she was, Shira Bree was her name, and she does have an action figure that is from one of the Evolution packs in an X-Wing outfit. And long story short, eventually her and Luke get into a dogfight with one another, and Luke shoots down her craft, and then she gets in a bad accident, and then that's when she becomes Lumiya, and that's what you see here. She just becomes similar to Vader, where she's a lot more machine than human. And she also wears this headdress because she was damaged that severely. And she was also in Emperor's hand at one point as well. Her and Mara Jade did not like each other. I do recall reading in the Legacy of the Force series that Mara Jade does make some comments about Luke having a relationship with Lumiya at one point. And there is a small moment, I believe it was in the 4th book of that book series, where Lumiya shows a little heart for Luke while they're in the middle of battle, and she reaches out and grabs his hand, and the way Luke describes it, it's almost like she still loves him. And he describes this incident to Mara Jade. But eventually Luke and Lumiya duel it out with one another, and I won't, without spoiling too much, it's basically the end of Lumiya's story at that point. Lumiya shows up every now and then in various other novels as well. After Palpatine's death as well, she does go into hiding, and eventually Jason Solo encounters her, and she's basically the main influence that makes him become Darth Kaidos in that book series. A very interesting character overall. So I don't have the package here today, unfortunately, but what I do have is the comic book that was released with this pack. Dark Horse comic number 96 there. Very nice image of Lumiya and Luke dueling it out with one another. Lumiya is also famous for her light whip. Duel with a Dark Lady. Really like the artwork in a lot of these comics. As you can see, Lumiya is very robotic at this point. Not sure how she even really survives. They duel it out with one another. So this purple short lightsaber that you see, I think, if I recall correctly, it was called like the Shintu or something like that. Luke uses this lightsaber against Lumiya. Something about it's easier to duel her because of the light whip. Some images there, what Lumiya looks like unmasked. Some advertising. I think this is the Dina Shawn and the Luke Skywalker comic pack. I do have the Dina Shawn. I'll review that someday. This is during the time leading into Indiana Jones 4. Not the biggest fan of that film, but still nice to go back in time and look at that. And this is the build up into the Force Unleashed collection. I have every single one of these action figures, and they're some of the best to date, I think. And that battle damaged Darth Vader. Would be nice to get on TVC as well. So that's the comic. We'll take a look at Luke first. So this is a pretty good Luke. I still think it's one of the best EU Lukes that we have to date. Somewhat simple design, not really a whole lot to say about it. I think it's a very good head sculpt. Definitely looks like Luke. In terms of the articulation here, he has a pretty good ball joint at the neck there. Can only go mostly side to side and can look up just a little bit, but that's about it. It has a very good hinge at the shoulder there. Goes way past 90 degrees. Hinge at the elbow, goes about 90. Swivel wrists there. Then swivel waist, then swivel hips, then hinged knees and hinged ankles as well. In terms of accessories, it comes with this, I would assume it's the lightsaber that he uses in Return of the Jedi. The green's kind of a very translucent green, and it almost looks like a white with a little bit of green. Not the best lightsaber blade color. I keep the elastic bands around these because at the time a lot of action figures had a hard time holding their weapons, so I left them in. It's a shame that Hasbro doesn't really do the elastic bands and action figures anymore. At the time it seemed like every single action figure did have it. Again, this is the short lightsaber that Luke uses against Lumiya. I believe it's called like the Shin 2 or something like that. There's very good detailing in that. There is a peg to put a lightsaber on his belt there. It's good detailing in his outfit there. But that's Luke. A very good Luke to have for your collection. And then next we'll take a look at Lumiya here. This could be one of my most favorite action figures in my collection. I just like everything about Lumiya. I like reading about her. I think she's a very interesting character. She has kind of a somewhat of a tragic story in some ways, between all her injuries and then her commitment to the dark side. And also she has some gruesome moments that she experiences in the novels. I think Hasbro did a lot of justice for this action figure. For the longest time, you could find this on Tungori's website. In fact, I even have a spare that I'll show you here in a second that I purchased for like $20 back in 2017 from Tungori. And every now and then he gets one in. So if you wanted to keep it, if you really wanted this for your collection, keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, if you buy this one on eBay, it can get kind of pricey. It's not the most outrageous action figure price in the world, but it's definitely not one that most people want to spend money for. Would be nice to get re-released at some point, but I highly doubt it will. Has lots of good detailing in her armor there. She has this very long cape, and you can take the cape off and pop her head off. I think it looks kind of odd without it, but that option's there for you. In terms of the articulation, she does have a ball joint neck there. Has a pretty good range. The hinged shoulder as well. Goes about 90 degrees. Then a hinged elbow. And then swivel wrist. Then swivel waist. Then swivel hips. And then hinged knees. And no articulation in the ankles, which is fine. She stands pretty good on her own. I like to have her with a stand because if you put the light whip and dynamic poses here, it can be difficult to get her to stand. Between her and Githany from the Darth Bane trilogy, I think these are the only two characters in Star Wars that use a light whip. I think it's an interesting concept. Of course, she has the elastic band around her hand there. Very interesting position that they decided to put this, where she has her hand at the edge of the light whip there. Very nice paint detailing in her face there. And good detail in the headdress there. So what you can do with this action figure, is an additional accessory, which is an actual head. And this is the action figure I actually got from Tungori, and I keep them both displayed like so. I don't think it's the best in the world, but it's all right. Between the two, I definitely like to portray her with her headdress, but since I have two of these, might as well have both. You can see they did add a little bit of silver detailing in her scarring there, almost like she is robotic in some way. It's a wonder she's even alive at all, and sometimes I think she even has it worse than Vader did. Pretty good detailing in her hair there. And the light whip you can get in some dynamic poses, like putting it around Luke like so, if you wanted to do something like that. And of course, if you have a stand for Lumiya here, you might be able to get her in some interesting battle poses here. Something like that. But anyways, that's all there is to say about these action figures. I think this is one of the best comic packs that was ever released, I think. And I would highly recommend this for your collection. It's hard to say if Lumiya is really a Sith or not. They do call her the Dark Lady of the Sith, and she is affiliated with the Sith, but she's not really a Sith Lord. She's more of a dark side user, I would say, that just so happens to be affiliated with the Sith. So I definitely would recommend this for your collection. Two unique action figures. It's a very good Luke, I think. And if you're looking for an expanding universe Luke, this is definitely a good option for you. And for Lumiya, she's a great character. I really enjoy reading about her, and it's a great action figure as well. A very unique piece to add to your collection. But anyways, thanks for watching this review. I hope you found a lot of value in it. And there will be a lot more reviews and more comic pack reviews coming in the future. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. And thanks for watching.